אוקיי, בסייעתא דשמיא. בפרק י"ד, פסוק ו'. ביקש לעץ חוכמה ועין. The let's, like the scoffer, seeks wisdom, ועין, and he cannot find it. ודעת לנבון נקל. But knowledge to the navon, to the intelligent man, nakal comes easy. Says the Gaon the following: man needs three things in life, or in his intellectual life: Chokhmah, Bina, and Da'at. Chokhmah, you get it, it's knowledge. This is what you get from your Rav. Bina is understanding the knowledge that you were taught from your Rav. And Da'at is to make sure you master the knowledge and understand how to apply that knowledge. So this is the fundamentals of an intellectual individual and somebody that wants to grow, okay, spiritually and intellectually. The let's, what's the definition of the let's? There is somebody that makes fun of everything. Yes. The reason why he's making fun of everything is because he's lacking fear. He doesn't have pachad. And the pachad comes from the bina. The bina is essentially the root of the dinim. Even though the bina is chasadim, because it's inside the mohin, yes, but it is the inception and the root of dinim. From bina comes the dinim. And the din is out there in order to awake pachad, fear. Why do you need fear? Because when you fear, you create boundaries. And when you create boundaries, you protect yourself. And that's how you secure your growth and protect yourself from failure or from problems. Like Eov says, "Larik yegi'a bli pachad." If you put a lot of efforts without fear, it's effort in vain. And that is, so the let's is the one that doesn't have that fear. He's missing that fear. He doesn't have pachad. Therefore, he takes things, everything is a joke. And life is always it's a joke to him. Why is it a joke? Because he doesn't have pachad. He doesn't have bina. And that's the opposite of the chacham. The chacham, through the development of his bina and the use of his bina, he creates layers of fear that allows him to be protected and safe. And through that safety environment, yes, he nurtures his own growth of Torah and Avodat Hashem. So essentially, the let's is the opposite of Torah. Torah is about growth. Torah is about development and self-accomplishment. And the let's, the let's, him, it's because he doesn't have that fear. So he does, that means he doesn't use his bina. That means there's a disconnect between his chokhmah and between his da'at, right? So he doesn't have a structure for mohin, right? He doesn't have an intellectual structure. And if he doesn't have an intellectual structure, or he consciously does not develop that intellectual structure, he becomes the polar opposite of what the Torah represents. Now, says the Gaon, now we're not only talking about someone that doesn't have chokhmah, even the one that has the chokhmah, Even the one that learns Torah from his Rav, however, does not take action to develop the wisdom, the knowledge that he received from his Rav, that careless approach of the chokhmah that he received, of the knowledge he received, sets him on the path of the scoffer, on the path of the letz. And because of that, he will lose not what he learned from his Rav. The chokhmah that he learned will disappear. So comes Shlomo HaMelech and brings out a new dimension of the importance of the Binah, which is not only to apply the mechanism of Binah to the knowledge that you receive, to your Chokhmah, in order to get to the Da'at, but it's also to have this awareness of the layers of protection of the pachad that you develop, the fear that you develop, which is a healthy fear. Now, you have fear that paralyzes people and that stop people from actually growing and progressing in life. That's not what we're talking about. Here, we're talking about a fear that gives the person the sense of responsibility to protect himself from mistakes on one end, but also to allow him to feel comfortable in a secure environment in order for him to grow. So that fear does two things: it pushes away the negative forces from outside, but also gives a level of comfort inside the ecosystem of the individual in order for him to be able to grow in a much healthier and more bold way. So yes, the importance of that fear. Pasuk Zayin. Lech mineged leish ksil. Go away from the ksil, from the duller, ubal yadata sifte da'at, so that you're not going to learn the sifte da'at, the lips of da'at. The Gaon says the following. The literal translation is neged, go away. Yeah, but he says lech min neged. So he's like, jetelech neged ish ksil. He says when you engage with the ish ksil, and when you interact with the ksil, and we spoke about the difference between the evil and the ksil yesterday. The ksil is the dullah, yeah, the dullah who is tipesh, let me say, yes. The evil is the sophisticated tipesh. So when you're engaged with the ksil, automatically you lose the sifti da'at, you lose the lips of da'at, you lose access to da'at. When you surround yourself with fools and with dullards, you cut your lifeline to the da'at. Says the Gaon, why did Shlomo HaMelech uses the lips, sifte? Not forget about the fact that you cut yourself from the essence of da'at and the knowledge of da'at, but even the lips of the bar da'at, even that you cut, meaning even the access to to the one that has the da'at, you don't have anymore. Shlomo HaMelech here brings forward the importance of your surrounding and who do you want to be close to. And why, says Lugan, why does it says mi neged with a mem and not neged? It says even if you decide to go away now, you were engaged with that person, with that kasil, and you decided to go away from him, okay? And you don't want to be close to him, and you understand that it's wrong. Bal yadat, bal yadata. Even you've already lost the da'at. Mineged can also mean if you go with him and you disagree while you go with him, you are still exposed to lose your da'at. This is the influence of the ksil. So the ksil, not only that he cuts the lifeline of the da'at, but he cuts also the access to the da'at. Forget about the essence of the da'at. Those are the lips. And not only that, his influence, yes, is damaging even when you decide to let go of that relationship and go and move away from it. And not only that, even if you're around the guy and you clearly disagree with him, but you're still in that environment, in that relationship, it will still deteriorate your da'at. This is how detrimental the relationship with a ksil is. I think, Brian, you had a question.
I did, but I got it. I was stuck on the concept of me neged, but I'd let you finish, and I
Okay. Pasuk chet. Chokhmat arum havin darko. The chokhmah of arum, of the clever, havin darko, is to understand his path. The ivelet kesilim mirma. But the stupidity of the kesil, of the dullard, mirma. Mirma is delusion. Yeah. Says
was using both here.
that's right. No, no, very good, very good. He's using the ivelet of the ksil. That means it's the ksil that's using now the trait of the evil. He's still a ksil, but he's on his way to become evil because he's using the ivelet. Very, very good, very good. So he says the Gaon like this.
That's why it's mirma. I got it.
Correct. Adam צריך להיות תמיד ערום ביראה. We just spoke about the importance of developing fear through the bina. And the bina brings yirah, right? The pachad, fear, it brings yirah. Says the Shlomo HaMelech, the Chacham, when is he Chacham? When he uses that Chokhmah of his, that Bina of his, to understand his flaws and to understand his Yetzarim, to identify his enemy, his internal enemy. We know that the Nahash was Arum, Mikol HaChayot, right? He was the most clever of all animals. And how does the snake operates? The snake, in his morphology, you learn his behavior as intellectually. The snake goes around and he goes very slow, and he slowly tights in and closes in and closes in and closes and chokes and chokes and chokes and so, and then it swallows. The Yetzer Hara is the same thing. The Yetzer Hara is not stiff. The Yetzer Hara doesn't have structure. The Yetzer Hara doesn't have bones that limits his stealthiness, right? The Yetzer Hara, the snake, he's very malleable. He can move and disappear and take the colors of become stealth. The Yetzer Hara is the same thing. The Yetzer Hara goes in ways, in circles, in a way where you cannot identify it until it shocks your neshama, until it shocks your midot tovot. Says the Gaon, if you want to dance with a snake, you need to learn the behavior of the snake and act like the snake, with the snake only. So, meaning you have to learn your Yetzer Hara and its behavior. You know, the dance of the cobra, you have people that dance with cobras, and they touch the mouth, or they kiss the cobra. In Africa, they do that a lot. How do they get to do that? They learn the behavior of the cobra. Yes, and they know exactly how it moves and its instinct and when it's about to strike. We have to do the same thing with the Yetzer Hara. Through the Bina and through the Yirah, through the fear that we develop through our Chokhmah and our Bina, we need to now apply it to identify our Yetzer Hara and learn its behavior and start dancing with it.
Why? What?
Yeah.
Why do they put music when they dance with cobras? They put a flute.
The flute, to charm it, to trigger the body language, the reaction.
And what would the flute be in our? What would the flute be?
Your flute is going to be your midot tovot. Is going to be your chokhmah. Your flute is what triggers your Yetzer Hara to identify how it moves, and through that you start putting barriers. Yes, so by and to each their own, like we said, each person has different Yetzer Harim. Have this so the Yoshro, right? He's the derech, the straight way that is specific to each individual is different. But in order to identify that, you need to identify your Yetzer Hara. So through the pachad and the yirah that you develop with your bina, you now can learn carefully the dance of your Yetzer Hara and start building through your chokhmah walls of protection. That's chokhmat arum havin darko. The armumiyut, right? The cleverness of the chacham is to learn is applied to learn his own ways, to learn his own weaknesses, to learn about his own Yetzer Hara. Ve'ivelet ksili mirma. But when the dullard, right, it uses ivelet, uses this spontaneous and nonsense behavior, okay, and uses that chokhmah of the evil as a ksil, as a dullard, and they don't know, they only see the reaction now, but they don't see past that the specific moment. Mirma, the Yetzer Hara ends up eating them alive. That's the one hidush. The second hidush of Mirma is like Brian says, they end up fooling themselves and fooling others. Because what's interesting is that now you have a ksil, you have the dullard that uses the behavior of the actions of the evil, right? So he manipulates, he tries to manipulate, right? Like a evil, but with the essence of a ksil, right? So he fools himself and he tries to fool others. So at the end, everybody gets fooled, but not bechokmah, because he's still a ksil, he's not a evil. Yes, Brian.
You can identify that. Anybody can identify that relatively quickly.
Nachon.
Like it's
Nachon. If you're not a ksil. So this mechanism is clear. This chidush is clear on pasuk chet. The application of yirah in order to identify your yetzer hara, learn about it, master its behavior in order to build layers of protection against it. This is what the chacham does. Pasuk tet. Evelim yalitz Hasham. The fools, yalitz, amelitz, they ask, okay, for reparation for the Hasham. Uben yesharim ratzon, but in between the yasharim, between the righteous, ratzon, you find the favor, you find goodwill. The evil talks a lot without thinking. He can hurt, he can say foolish things. Even he can be megadef, he can belittle, he can hurt. Therefore, because that's his way of doing things, Yalitz, he needs to ask for forgiveness because he damages so much along the way that he needs to always ask for forgiveness. But how does he do it? Yalitz, he sends a messenger to ask for forgiveness because he's ashamed of what he's done. So the evil essentially breaks to fix, breaks to fix. He's always in that's what he does. The yashar, the yesharim, the righteous, because they are so careful with their words and what they say and who they speak to and what they try to convey. Everything is done beratzon. Everything is done with a goodwill, and it's done benachat. So there's no coming back. There's no need to come back because when they speak, they know what they're saying and they know what they get themselves into.
That's a question.
Yes.
Isn't the Evil very calculated and careful?
He's no the evil uses his intelligence, okay, as a manipulation, but with a short-term vision, with a short, not the Ksil
doesn't think he's stupid.
Yes, the evil uses his chokhmah, but it's all short-term. It's all instinctive. You understand? He's not a great chacham that plans everything in a long term. Although you're right that we did see sometimes that Shlomo Amer uses the evil to address a more sophisticated mind.
Yeah.
Here,
calculated.
Yes.
But
here,
with an intention to manipulate.
Correct.
I think that was the first time we learned about an evil.
Nachon, you're right. You're right. Here, what he wants to say is that it's true, but in his interaction, okay, he can hurt a lot, he burn a lot of bridges, and therefore he always has to go and fix, because at the end, he has his own interests on the line. Good. Pasuk Yud. These psukim are short and sweet with strong messages, but they're Lev יודע marat nafsho. The heart knows its bitterness. ובשמחתו לא יתערב זר. And no stranger can come and enjoy and mix into its happiness, into the happiness of the heart. Chachamim say in the Midrash that לעתיד לבוא, okay, when the neshama, when the body goes, so all the levarim come, all the organs of the body, they come to the heart, and they tell the heart, why your happiness is greater than ours. We all come from one body, from one individual. The arm says, why you, the heart, you enjoy more than me? The eyes, why do you enjoy more than me? The legs, why do you enjoy? So the heart, and so he said, we're all one body, so we should have equality, yeah, communism, yes, socialism. So the heart answers when the man was in pain and bitzar. Did you feel it? Yeah, you didn't feel. The hand doesn't feel the tsar. The eyes don't feel the tsar. The legs don't feel the tsar. What feels the tsar? The heart. So because I was part of the tsar, now I have the reward of the simha. That's what Chachamim teach us. So says Shlomo HaMelech the same thing. He says, the heart feels the pain. When a person has a challenge, the organ that absorbs that pain is the heart. And therefore, when there's a moment of joy, the organ that also absorbs all that emotion is the heart. Says Shlomo HaMelech, says the Gaon Shlomo HaMelech is going to teach us an important lesson. Why? Because in Torah, you sit and you learn a lot of Torah. You learn, and you toil and you toil and you toil. You suffer. You suffer. Comes a student and wants to learn. And he hears a beautiful hidush. Very nice. With kol hakavod, with all due respect, the guy connects to the Zoom, listens to a nice shiur, sounds all great. Toda rabah. Did you spend hours to break your head to understand what the hidush was about? What did the ground say? What did Shlomo HaMelech say? No, what pitom? I come shulchan aruch. I come, I have everything on a silver plate. Yes. So says the Gaon, maybe somebody may think, why should I share with people the fruit of my toiling? I spent hours and hours to break my head to prepare Daf Yomi. I need to go and give it so easily to everybody. They didn't work for it. Let them go work for their own Torah. That's what a person may think. Why a person may think like this? Because the nature of man is that when he benefits from toiling and very strong efforts, he has a hard time sharing. And he sees in the lack of effort of the person that he's about to share it with a flaw. He sees something not good, right? Think about it. You work very, very hard. You make parnasa, yes? And then you have to cut a check to your brother that doesn't do nothing. He's sitting, he's chilling. You're not going to feel good. What pitom? I work hard and you benefit from that. Go work and no problem. But why should I work hard and you benefit? That's simple nature. That's human nature. Says Shlomo HaMelech, you may apply the same nature when it comes to Torah. And if that's the case, which is a nature, right? If that's the case, now nobody's going to teach Torah. So comes Shlomo HaMelech and says, don't worry. Why? Because it's true you taught the Torah and your students benefited from your Torah. But the simha of toiling of that Torah, you only benefit from it. And this is the lesson that comes to appease that thought process. The same thing you can apply in the case the case we spoke about. You work, you make the money. Yes. And now you have to cut a check to your brother that didn't do anything. Now it's true that he's going to enjoy from that money that you worked hard from, but the satisfaction of making that money and what this money is worth, your brother will never get, because it came easy. All that satisfaction you keep for yourself. That simcha you keep for yourself. That's what Shlomo Amelech says, that simchato zar, the simcha that you get from the toiling, from the effort you put into something, nobody can feel it. And this is essentially a reward that is dedicated only to the person that puts the effort. We tend to believe that the reward is the outcome of the effort. You put a strong effort, there's an outcome, and that's the reward. Now, when you share the outcome of the reward, you feel bad, especially when it's with somebody that didn't do anything. Comes Shlomo HaMelech and says, yes, but there's another reward, which is the satisfaction of the effort. That's also a reward. That's called simcha. And that simcha, nobody can share it but you, because you're the only one who toiled. So when you shift the focus from the outcome to the toil and the effort, you feel now empowered, because it's not about the outcome is just another outcome, but the power of the toiling and of the effort is you, and that you have in control. This you can duplicate and duplicate and duplicate. This can never be taken away from you. This is a big hidush, very important hidush, because it helps you share without feeling bad. And it also helps you develop more simcha and satisfaction that for something you're in control of. Nobody can stop you from working hard and investing efforts. And now suddenly you shift the weight from the outcome to the effort. And you can feel great, because it's irrelevant, but the outcome is irrelevant. What's important is the effort that you put. This is the hashkafa of the Torah. This is also why today in Eretz Israel, for example, there's a big problem between the non-religious and the religious in terms of limud Torah. The non-religious don't understand. There's no outcome. You put a test, you take a test, you pass, you continue. You don't pass, go to the army, do something. The laik and secular mind does not understand the reward that exists in the effort. This is specific to the Torah Kedosha. You can toil in learning Torah, and this is where the simcha will come. Not in the hidush at the end of the day. But that there's simcha in the hidush itself. But the simcha that you gain for your effort, this is specific and in any שאלות on that חידוש?
So it doesn't, the most important is not the outcome, but to put us in how the effort with it, because the outcome you never know.
Exactly. And this, you need the Torah to come and teach you that. Because if not for the Torah, you go, like we said many times, you go to the tailor, okay, to make you a suit. And he's supposed to be ready in 1 month. After a month, he comes and there's one arm missing. He's going to tell you, listen, I didn't sleep at night for 2 weeks. He's like, okay, thank you very much. I don't care. I need a suit. I don't need a suit minus an arm, right? It's very hard to understand in the secular mind that the effort is what counts and not the product, the outcome. So you need the Torah Kedosha to reveal that, changes our perspective and allow us to create a better balance between the effort and the reward and the results. that helps you share better and be less kapdan, that helps you also get hizuk when you actually put the effort and you develop more motivation. Yes, it's easier to stand back on your 2 feet because you're toning, you're doing it as you're putting your efforts. So yes,
Rabbi, can you just explain why do we say the outcome is irrelevant? It's what the effort that counts. If
I
the
didn't say
outcome
it's
is not,
irrelevant. I didn't say it's irrelevant. I didn't say the outcome is irrelevant. I said the outcome is less. It's not an outcome. You can share the simha. The effort you cannot share that simha.
so the outcome is a shareable is shareable almost.
That's right. Yeah, it is.
But
that is it.
the
But
effort,
the
the
toil,
simcha,
the effort, this you cannot
Yeah.
share. This is yours. And there is a lot of simha hidden in the effort.
Incredible.
So,
Incredible.
Baruch Hashem. So we just learned Pasuk Yud. We finished Pasuk Yud. Perek Yud Dalet Pasuk Yud. Be'ezrat Hashem.